Minglawa and welcome to Myanmar Radio's Myanmar Today. I'm Michelle with the recent news and reports from around Myanmar. Akato got the latest reports on returnees praise Myanmar's anti-COVID-19 measures. Pyodhiridu will give us all the details on Hluttaw approved amendment to Bill of Microfinance. Suirna, Pomo, and Pyodhiri have the details on COVID-19 cases increased to 337 with 261 fully recovered. Willison will have the full story on the real estate market faces different challenges amid COVID-19. All of these reports will be coming up on Myanmar Today, but for now, let's take a look at what's happening in local news. State Councillor Aung San Suu Kyi wrote on her Facebook page on Monday about the importance of school children not to drift away from learning. And next week, they would initiate steps to reopen school that had to close on because of the COVID-19. This was what she wrote. For health and education levels to be high are two basic requirements for the citizens. Both are requirements for the whole life, and it was necessary to nurture and develop with care. Knowledge is something all of us have to seek on an individual basis. The main job of the school is to teach the students how to seek the knowledge. To bring our education system to a high level, there are so many things that need to be done. That is why we are putting education on the same level as health. As you all know, we will begin by reopening the high schools. Based on the success of this plan, we will make plans to reopen the middle and primary schools. During the period while we have to confront a disease from which we don't have preventive or curative vaccines, there are many factors to be considered before we take one step. That is why we have to make steady steps to reach our goals as quickly as possible. According to the Information and Public Relations Department, the hotels and resorts in Hluttaw district of Returnees region were inspected for reopening on Monday. Hotels in Returnees region have been temporarily closed to prevent further spread of coronavirus pandemic until now. To be able to resume the operation, a team was comprised of relevant officials from the Department of Public Health, the General Administrative Department, and factories, a General Labor Law Inspection Department, the Ministry of Labor, Immigration and Population, Myanmar Anti-Human Trafficking Police Force, as well as the Ministry of Hotels and Tourism, inspected the hotels and resorts in the region, whether they follow the instructions and guidelines issued by the Ministry of Health and Sport to prevent the further spread of COVID-19. Almost most of the hotels and guest houses in the township areas rely on the local visitors. Those hotels and resorts on the islands rely on the foreign visitors and tourists, especially from Thailand. But due to the COVID-19 preventive measures in neighboring Thailand, it is not easy to resume the business like before. The Anti-Corruption Commission presented reference documents and publications on integrity and ethnicity to the Shan State Chief Minister and other top officials on Monday morning at the meeting hall of the Shan State government. The reference publications are for the Shan State government, the Shan State Hluttaw, judicial officials, the officials in the self-administered zone in Shan State, and libraries. During the ceremony, the Anti-Corruption Commission Chairman Wu Aungji said that the Commission organized workshops on integrity in regions and states, as well as open to youth integrity camps. The Shan State Chief Minister also highlighted the President's remarks made on 30 March 2018, which said officials must increase intensity in combating the corruption and legal action must be taken against the offenders in accordance with the laws. The Shan State Chief Minister pledged that the Shan State will cooperate with all the stakeholders in tackling corruption, and then he expressed thanks to the Anti-Corruption Commission for providing the reference books. The water level of Ayeyarwady River in Kachin State rose and flooded houses and farmlands in Srigu Township area. Victims in wards and village tracts in the township were evacuated and have now been taking shelter at religious buildings since the 11th of July. 6,143 acres of farmlands have been inundated, Information and Public Relations Department reported. That's all with the local news. Now we'll move on to our first report. The returnees expressed thanks to the Myanmar healthcare sector and the embassy, which helped them return home safely and smoothly. The Ministry of Labor, Immigration and Population, the Ministry of Health and Sport, and the Yangon region government provided the returnees from foreign countries with proper medical checks and arranged 21-day quarantine for them. Almost 8,000 Myanmar citizens have been brought back home to date.
Returnees from foreign countries praised the Myanmar government's effort in bringing back the returnees home and the containment measures during the pandemic period. The returnees expressed thanks to the Myanmar healthcare sector and the embassies, which helped them return home safely and smoothly, as well as entering quarantine and administering medical checks and treatment. State Councillor Daw San Suu Kyi, U Jordan, Union Minister for International Cooperation, the returnees from Australia and India discussed repatriation measures on Tuesday. State Councillor Daw San Suu Kyi said,
I would like you to discuss two parts. First, what are their anti-COVID-19 measures and your experience staying here during the outbreak. Next, I would like you to share your opinion on relief flight arrangement. When we plan to bring back the returnees, we need to ensure their national ID, in addition to what kind of medical care they received in foreign countries. We also consider the plausibility of infection so that we can send the infected persons to hospitals, which are something not all the countries can provide. Even in richer countries, they don't bring the infected person to hospital, but rather advise them to stay home.
The Ministry of Labor, Immigration and Population, the Ministry of Health and Sports, and the Yangon region government provided the returnees from foreign countries with the proper medical checks and arranged 21-day quarantine for them. Ma A. Aung, the returnee from India, said,
Rules and regulations
While I was in India, living was hard in Mumbai. There were no enough beds in hospitals for the patients. The apartment fees soared significantly. We lost jobs, so I kept waiting for the relief flight, and the embassy helped me to evacuate. At the migration processes were long delays, and the embassy helped me with it. I went into hospital quarantine, and I get tested positive, and I was admitted to the hospitals. I was amazed that the hospital facility was improved so greatly. Now I have tested negative for 2 times.
The Ministry of Foreign Affairs has been working with the Myanmar embassies in foreign countries and local ministries concerned to bring back citizens stranded abroad due to the suspension of international commercial flights. In accordance with the guidance of the National Level Central Committee on Prevention, Control and Treatment of COVID-19, almost 8,000 Myanmar citizens have been brought back home to date. Matanda Aung So, who has returned from Australia trip with a relief flight, shared,
I
plan to visit Australia before the social distancing and mask wearing measures are not imposed yet. I wandered around Sydney pretty much. Then the WHO declared COVID-19 a pandemic, and we thought we could make it back home. But we got stuck in lockdown. During the lockdown, one of my friends went out to buy perfume, which was not a necessity, and she got fined a huge amount of money. Although the situation around my place was not intense, lockdown was strict. The airline did not arrange anything for us, and they have not refunded our money yet. When it came to relief flight, the embassy and respected department in Canberra helped us out a lot. Next, we have a Facebook group where we help each other to fill form and go through necessary procedures. In terms of protective measures at airport, Myanmar wear better protective outfit and masks, where in Australia they wear masks, but it's not direct and strict.
The government has been helping Myanmar workers from different countries as they are not able to return home on their own. So far, the returnees from Thailand and Malaysia are the highest in number. To contain the further widespread of the virus, these returnees from abroad entail strict quarantine. The government has designated many places as quarantine centers where the returnees from abroad are under medical observation for 21 days, and they also go through medical tests for a plausible viral infection at least twice during the quarantine stay. This is Agajo reporting for Myanmar International Radio.
That's a report on returnees praise Myanmar's anti-COVID-19 measures. Hluttaw's Bill Committee reported the bill amendment to microfinance submitted by the approval of Hluttaw on the second day meeting of 17th regular section. Hluttaw's Bill Committee has made 19 corrections to the paragraph and sub-paragraphs and 1 cancellation of the bill on microfinance, which was submitted by the approval of Hluttaw. Hluttaw has approved all the corrections and cancellations for the committee during the meeting.
Microfinance in Myanmar has increasingly grown over the past few years to become the important sector of financial service provider targeting low-income population excluded from the regular financial system. The government gives an important role to it and more comprehensively to inclusive finance as a means to reduce poverty. Hluttaw's Bill Committee reported the bill amendment on microfinance submitted by the approval of Hluttaw on the second day meeting of 17 regular section. Hluttaw's Bill Committee has met Hluttaw representatives who wanted to discuss the bill and also the officials from the Ministry of Planning, Finance and Industry. After discussing and analyzing the bill amendment, Hluttaw's Bill Committee can negotiate to keep the paragraph 16 and 20 and a sub-paragraph of the bill on microfinance as the last corrections which were approved by Hluttaw. Dodjing Ngai Mai, member of Hluttaw's Bill Committee, reported to approve the bill amendment to microfinance Hluttaw on the second day meeting of the 17th regular session.
Hluttaw Ubrijang Committee, a desang which Ubrijambo, a champion Sonic Heady, Hluttaw Cosalene, Sonic Hayari.
Hluttaw's Bill Committee has already discussed in detail with the Hluttaw representatives who wanted to suggest the amendment bill of the microfinance and the officials from the relevant ministry. The additional amendment and cancellations for the bill are reported to seek the approvals from the Hluttaw. Then, a member from Hluttaw Bills Committee reported each paragraph and sub-paragraph that can be corrected by Hluttaw.
Urijan Committee in Sinjamia Pite, Urijan Bike Kaji.
Hluttaw reported to approve the correction of paragraphs 2, 5, 6, 7, 8, 11, 13, 15, and the respective sub-paragraphs by the committee. And Hluttaw are requested to approve the correction to the paragraph 29, 30, 35, 36, 37, 38, 44, 50, 61, 62, and 64, and the respective sub-paragraphs of the bill, and paragraphs 38 are reported to be cancelled from the bill.
Then, a member from Hluttaw Bills Committee reported each paragraph and sub-paragraph that can be corrected by Hluttaw. Speaker of Hluttaw, Mawin Khaingtan, has asked the Hluttaw representatives to approve the corrections to microfinance bill of Hluttaw's Bill Committee. Hluttaw's Bill Committee has made 19 corrections to the paragraphs and sub-paragraph and 1 cancellation of the bill on microfinance, which was submitted by the approvals of Hluttaw. Hluttaw has approved all the corrections and cancellation for the committee during the meeting. 2011 Microfinance Institutions Law was enacted in November 2011. In 2016, the Myanmar Microfinance Association submitted a policy reform paper with recommendations to improve the environment for commercial microfinance. 2011 Microfinance Institutions Law will be replaced with the new Microfinance Bill, and the new law is supposed to provide the resource for the lenders and borrowers and permit actions to be taken against by any wrongdoing. Then the microfinance institutions can lend correctly and the lenders pay off their loans accordingly if the sector develops and grows over the long term.
That's a report on Hluttaw approved amendment the bills of the microfinance. Stay with us as we bring you more reports on Myanmar Today. The Ministry of Health and Sport on 13 July announced the number of COVID-19 cases are up to 337, 6 died, and 261 have fully recovered. All the new 5 latest confirmed cases are the returnees from Thailand and Bangladesh. They tested positive when they were undergoing facility quarantine at the center in Yangon. They all have been admitted to Wibaki Specialist Hospital. The government also announced the extensions of the restriction to 31st July.
The Ministry of Health and Sports on 13 July announced the numbers of the COVID-19 cases are up to 337. 6 died and 261 have fully recovered. All the new 5 latest confirmed cases are the returnees from the Thailand and Bangladesh. They tested positive when they were undergoing facility quarantine at the center in Yangon. They all have been admitted to Wibaki Specialist Hospital. Hluttaw, Region Hluttaw representative from Babena Township, Yangon, spoke to my radio about the increasing number of the COVID-19 confirmed cases. He said,
In the
current situation, we have seen that many of the cases are imported from the returnees. We have already expected this situation earlier, but we can't ignore this situation. Those returnees have to stay 21 days of facility quarantine at the centers. Not only the returnees, but also the local people have to follow the guidelines that the government announced when necessary. In this situation, the government didn't let the gathering groups, so avoiding crowded places could be the best prevention for the infections. I don't want the people to think that the numbers of the infected cases are fewer by comparing that from other big countries. The infected cases could increase in number if we didn't prevent the cases quickly in the earlier months.
COVID-19 yoga po
The government's National Level Central Committee on Prevention, Control and Treatment of Coronavirus Disease also announced the extension of the restrictions to 31st July. Those measures will include compulsory wearing of face masks when going out and no gathering of 5 persons or more. Since 16 May, a total of 149 returnees have tested positive for COVID-19, according to the data from the Ministry of Health and Sports. Those returnees are from Thailand, India, Malaysia, UAE, Bangladesh, Qatar, the Philippines, England, the United States, and Singapore. The Ministry of Health and Sports have tested 94,618 people. Dr. Sidulin, the specialist from Yangon Workers' Hospital, spoke to my radio through the phone interview about the COVID-19 infections. He said,
The percentage of the local transmission seems lower. It can be said it is good, but on the other hand, people become careless about the protection. People have to know the infections can be longer than we expect, said the medical researcher. In our country, we can say the first wave of COVID-19 infection is over, but the second wave can occur suddenly if we haven't prepared well enough for the protection. The returnees have to follow the guidelines and should stay 21 days facility quarantine centers whether they come to the country from the relief fights or other means. I would like to request the people to follow the guidelines.
Mawuian, the resident from Damui Township, spoke to my radio about her opinion on the infections of COVID-19 cases. She said,
In the
COVID-19 period, we have to protect ourselves by wearing the mask. I always take the hand sanitizers and masks along with me. I'm afraid of local transmission. The important cases are very important too, but the government asks them to stay quarantined and test them, so we don't have to worry much about the important cases, but we have to protect ourselves. I want all the people to follow the guidelines. The viral infection is very dangerous, and I don't want anyone to be infected.
The four national laboratories, the Yangon National Health Laboratory, the Department of Medical Research, the Public Health Laboratory in Mandalay, and 1,000-bed number 1 Defense Service General Hospital tested 790 persons in the latest round of the testing. Gaya State is the only region in Myanmar without any reported case. Yangon is the highest number of the COVID-19 patients with 240 cases. All the patients are admitted in the Weibagi Specialist Hospital, Yangon, South Okalaba Women and Children Hospital, and Defense Services Liver Hospital, Yangon. The global pandemic has spread to 188 countries, killing over 575,000 people, afflicting over 13 million, according to the data from the Worldometer Coronavirus Resource Center.
That's the report on COVID-19 cases increased to 337 with 261 fully recovered. The outbreak of COVID-19 is also greatly affecting the real estate market in Myanmar, in both sales and renting, especially in Yangon. However, understanding the impacts of the COVID-19, the landlord also gives some consent to the tenants as exemptions from the rental fees, as it is also the hard time for them. Wilson will tell us the full report.
Many of the people who have moved to Yangon for work and other life opportunities have been one of the most important consumers for real estate market, especially when it comes to apartment rental. However, the outbreak of COVID-19 has directly affected most of the businesses across Myanmar, forcing some businesses to close down temporarily. The economic crisis due to COVID-19 also means that for the commercial cities like Yangon, the rental market has no other option but to see its decline, whether in sale or renting. The decline of the real estate market is directly linked to the economic crisis of the people and the impacts of COVID-19, where many businesses are closed down and the workers left big cities like Yangon. However, there's another surprising story on the other side of the impact of COVID-19. Goso Ted is one of the tenants in Yangon who has been renting apartments for many years, and he spoke to my radio and said,
As far as I know, the business of renting apartment is almost stopped. I have some people I know from this sector. The business is not going well for both sale and rental. For the price-wise, there is a slight decline of renting fare. It seems that many of the property owners understand the difficulty these tenants face. As one of the tenants, there is some of exemption between the landlords and the tenants, where the duration of renting and the price is very much negotiable.
Hluttaw, who is the vice chairman of Myanmar Real Estate Services Associations, and he also spoke to my radio about the current situation of real estate market, and he said,
As we all know, the market in this sector completely halted during this COVID-19, but it is coming back to life in the last few weeks, especially in rental service. Some of the main areas where the renting of the apartment is coming back to business include Sanjiang, Jimyandai, Alone, Damway, and Tenganjiang. According to the tradition of the people, moving a house and renting or buying property must be done before Wazo, and the people tend to move out or in after Wazo. And this may be the reason why the renting business is coming back to life. But as this business has been halted, I think having a short time to move in or move out is the reason why the people are making their move. Some may have to renew the contract or some may have to move out. But a slight rise in this rental business can be seen only in some downtown areas.
Due to economic crisis, there has been a slight change in the price of property market and the renting price as well. According to Hluttaw, the generosity of the people may be one of the reasons why this sector sees a slight change in price-wise, where the price is quite lower than usual one, and there's a newly popular term trending in this sector, which is COVID-19 price tag, where the consumers expect to negotiate the price using the impacts of COVID-19 as advantage. Dawn Momo is the owner of Myanmar Winshui Real Estate Agency, and she also spoke to Amel Radio.
တိုက်ခန်းငါးတွေကတော့လေဖြစ်တယ်ဒါပေမဲ့ဈေးနှုန်းကျသွားတာပေါ့နော်နောက်တစ်ခါဖြစ်တယ်ဆိုပေမဲ့တိတ်အများကြီးတော့မဟုတ်ဘူးကိုဗစ်ကာလမှာ
Renting apartment is getting back to it work slowly, but with the exception of declining price. What we see is the landlord also gave some kind of exemption to the tenant where they were allowed to live into the treatment for free in some rare cases. And but even if they are not given free stay, there is surely a reduction in the price. For example, if a contract is signed for 6 months, the landlord extends the contract for another 2 months for free. The renting fee also dramatically declined during this COVID-19. The investment from foreign is not coming anymore. We don't have foreign companies operating during this time. Even if there is some, they return the project. This is the reason why we see many big garages left empty in different townships such as Hluttaw and the commute. So overall, it is safe to say that the price declined when it came to renting the apartment.
This is Williamson for MI Radio.
That's the report on the real estate market faces different challenges amid COVID-19. And that's all we have for today's report, and it's time to check on some international news here on Myanmar Today. U.S. President Donald Trump has made 20,000 false or misleading claims since he took the office on January 20, 2017, the Washington Post reported on July 14. The paper's fact-checker column pointed out Trump hit the milestone on July 9th, a day on which he delivered 62 such claims. It said that Trump made untrue statements on the various domestic and international topics. Over the last 14 months, such events included comments on his impeachment procedures, the COVID-19 pandemic, and the police killing of the African-American George Floyd. Trump has averaged 23 false or misleading claims a day. The paper started its database during the president's first 100 days in office. Its staff have then gone through every statement made by him at press conference and rallies, TV appearance, and on social media. Chinese President Xi Jinping on Tuesday stressed deepening economic and trade cooperation with Singapore and Thailand while continuing to jointly fight the pandemic with the two countries. Xi made the remarks as he held separate talks on the phone with Singapore's Prime Minister and the Thailand Prime Minister. Xi told the two leaders that China wants to share its experience in fighting COVID-19 and enhance cooperation in R&D of drugs and vaccines as guided by the principles of a community of shared destiny. She said that the two countries' bilateral relations stand at a new starting point as the year marks the 30th anniversary of the establishment of diplomatic relations between China and Singapore. The UK has decided that Huawei equipment should be removed from British 5G network by 2027, and the telecom providers in the country should stop purchasing 5G equipment from Huawei from the start of the year, said Culture and Secretary in the House of Commons on Tuesday. Earlier in the day, the Chinese Foreign Ministry's spokesperson responded to the relevant issues about Huawei at a regular press conference. He said whether the UK can provide an open, fair, and non-discriminatory business environment for Chinese companies in the country is the litmus test of where the UK market will go after Brexit. In January, the British government declared its plans to safeguard the country's telecoms network, which is widely seen as approving a restricted role for the Chinese tech giants in helping build the country's 5G network. And that's all we have for today. Thanks for joining me on Myanmar Today. I'm an intern anchor, Michelle. Have a good day. Until next time.